As the church continued to grow, God was changing many hearts. God was changing the hearts of people who were becoming followers of the way of Jesus. He was even changing the hearts of people who were already followers of Jesus, people who grew deeper in their faith and broader in their understanding. And God was really changing the hearts of some people who really did not like Jesus and his followers. Probably one of the most well-known conversions was that of Saul. Maybe you've heard him called Paul. Saul is the Hebrew way of saying his name, and Paul is the Greek or Roman way of saying his name. You remember Saul had been persecuting Christians and arresting them and leading them toward death, rioting the mobs against them. Well, one time when Saul was headed to the city of Damascus, along the road he was stopped. There was a blinding light. And Saul, he fell off his horse, and then he heard this booming voice. Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? Who are you? Who is speaking? Saul, it is me, Jesus, the one whom you are persecuting. And then Jesus went on to tell Saul to go into the city and follow the directions that would be given to him when he was there. Now, the other people who were with Saul, they couldn't see the blinding light, but they could definitely hear the voice, and so they were confused what was going on. And when that light left Saul's vision, he couldn't see. Even though his eyes were open, he couldn't see, and so they had to lead him into Damascus. And while he was there, nothing changed for 3 whole days. In the meantime, God appeared to a follower of Jesus named Ananias and said, Ananias, I want you to go to the street called Straight, and I want you to connect with this guy named Saul who's there. Ananias says, what? Saul? I know that guy. That's the guy who's been persecuting your followers. And God says, I know. But he's going to become an instrument for me to reach out to the people who are not of the Jewish faith, to reach out and spread my good news beyond the people of Israel. And so reluctantly, Ananias went. When he got there, he laid his hands on Saul, and something like scales fell from Saul's eyes, and he could see again. And he believed. And he was baptized. Now, there were an awful lot of Jews who really struggled with Gentiles becoming followers of Jesus because they didn't follow the law. You remember those early followers of Jesus still considered themselves Jews, still followed the law. And God had to work on them. There was one time when Peter was praying out on a roof and he was really hungry. And as he prayed, he fell into this trance, into this dream where this sheet came down from heaven, like it was held by the 4 corners. And when it came down to the ground, he saw there were all kinds of 4-footed creatures in there, reptiles and birds. And God said, Peter, get up, kill and eat. Peter protested, God, I have never put anything unclean in my lips before. For all those animals that were on that sheet-like thing were unclean. They were against the Jewish law to eat. And God responded, what I have made clean, do not call profane. And this whole series of events repeated 3 times, and then that sheet was taken back up into heaven. And Peter heard some people at the door. And he went down to see what it is, who they were. They were people sent by a Roman centurion named Cornelius. Cornelius was someone who respected God and was respected by the Jewish people. He was God-fearing. And Peter puts the pieces together. He travels with those people, goes to Cornelius, his house, and shares the good news, the gospel, with Cornelius. Because even though Cornelius was not a Jew, in fact, many would consider him the enemy of the Jews, what God had made good, one should not call bad or profane or unworthy. And so Peter, after this experience, went around preaching to all kinds of people the peace of Jesus, that he was the Lord of all people, not just the Jewish people. He said, "Truly I know that God shows no partiality, but in every nation, anyone who fears God and does what is right is acceptable and blessed by God." After Paul began preaching, he put it another way. He said, "In Christ Jesus, all are children of God through faith. There is no longer Jew nor Greek, no longer slave nor free, no longer male nor female, for all of us are one in Christ Jesus. We are all heirs according to God's promise." That means you and I, no matter who we are children of God and heirs of that covenant promise, that promise that we see fulfilled in Jesus of new life.